Welcome to Elevate to Clarity, the podcast where we discuss how to overcome our obstacles and level up in our purpose. And I am your host, Latasha Slide. My guest today is a dynamic Detroit-born serial entrepreneur whose impact spans from multiple industries, including beauty, self-care, hospitality, marketing, nonprofit advocacy. As a visionary business leader, she has built and cultivated brands that empower individuals, creating meaningful experiences and strengthening communities. She is also the co-founder of the Sally Virginia Foundation, established alongside her mother in honor of her grandmother. The foundation is dedicated to raising awareness of Parkinson's disease within the Black community, advocating for education, support, and access to resources for individuals and families affected by this disease. Above all, she leads with purpose, service, and excellence. She is a devoted mother of her brilliant 17-year-old daughter, and her journey is a testament of her resilience, in innovation, transformation, and her love for her community. Please welcome my guest, my sis, Karian Durham and also now she's also goes by Karian D. Please welcome her to the show. What's up, sis?
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I am good. I am so excited about this podcast, and I know how busy you are. So people don't really understand the magnitude, because I think I didn't do you justice because you are a busy, busy woman.
I think you tackled everything.
Did I? Okay, okay. And I know that you are a part of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated,
Yes,
and you also
ma'am.
went to Prairie View A&M University. So I do know that you are an educated woman, and you also believe in working hard and playing harder. So tell me this: what is your degree in? I didn't ask you that before.
So my degree is in marketing. After doing 4 long, hard years in finance with a minor in marketing, I ultimately decided that I was more of a people person, and marketing was just the way for me.
Okay, so well, that actually makes sense. It makes sense.
Mhm.
So tell me your why. Tell me, we're going to get into all of the things that you're doing, but I want to know your why up until before you actually got everything started as an entrepreneur.
My why really has always been that I wanted to see people like me in the room. I wanted to make sure that we weren't ignored. Starting from my first real business, which was the cosmetic line, I felt like there wasn't enough shades that represented us as a Black community of women of color. And so from there, it just expanded. And even down to event space, it's me providing a space for people to curate their own experiences and creating their own tables. You know, you always talk about, well, what do you bring to the table? Now you have a space to make your own table. You are noticing that there's events that you feel left out of. Curate your own event. Here's a perfect space for that. So I think my why has always been to be able to be that sound voice in a room to create and open doors for others.
That's good. I love it. I love it. Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I remember in like either first or second grade, I had the same teacher for both. We had to do a project based off of what you wanted to do when you grow up. And I told my mom that I wanted to manage a store. And I say manage because that's a key point. And my mom set up a meeting with a director of Fairlane, which is a well-known mall in Michigan or Dearborn, Michigan. And when we went there, she was Black. So I was like, okay, great. And she asked me, she said, why do you want to manage a mall when you can own a mall? And from there, that changed my entire outlook. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be a manager. I'm trying to own. Like, this is my space. I'm doing it. I'm telling you what to do, what not to do. And then these people are going to manage what I tell them to do. And so that kind of just really changed the way that I looked at things that I was interested in doing. It was, oh, okay, that's nice to learn, but I want to own. Yeah, entrepreneur it was. I was selling, I remember garage sale. We were selling things. I went around the house trying to find everything that I could sell in the house. Then I started selling lemonade, and it was like, oh, you want lemonade? Okay, great. I made my lemonade stand drive through. Oh, you want ice? Okay, it's an additional 25 cents for ice. So like I was always trying to figure out something, trying to make money somehow, some way. So it just has always been in me, and I don't really take too well to know. And I
Right.
think perfect mindset when you're an entrepreneur. You got to be able to hear no and then figure out how to pivot.
I believe in that. I just had this conversation with someone just yesterday about the seeds that people plant and being careful with what you actually speak over children, because God gives us the vision, right? He gives things to us to want and to desire based off of purpose and alignment. And sometimes as parents or teachers or educators or whatever, we can actually detour a child based off of what we say, right? So based off of her saying that, you saying, how do you want to be a manager? I want to be taken seriously as a manager. She was like, nah. So the seed was planted. Why don't you want to be owner?
Yep.
Right. So that says, okay. And then boom, it just hit you and it stuck. And then you just took off.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever worked with for anyone outside of, I know you did your lemonade stands and all of that, but did you ever take an actual job?
Yeah. So I always wanted to make money, and I ended up a lot of my jobs were based off of word of mouth or knowing people. Worked at a stand at Northland, which is another mall, and it was selling makeup. And I actually was up there just hanging out with my friend. And actually, she got me a lot of my jobs, if I think about it. I was up there with her because I had nothing to do. And next thing you know, the lady was like, "Wait, you know how to do makeup?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Well, why don't you just work for us?" Okay. So then I started working there. Then her mom worked at this place called Maui Wowie. And she ended up working there. My friend ended up working there from time to time. I went over there because, again, I ain't had nothing to do. I ended up getting hired on there because they were like, well, you come up here all the time. You clearly don't have anything to do. You have a mode of transportation. You seem to be very reliable. Not only did I work there, I somehow turned into the manager. I was the one who opened the store, broke down the store, went to go pick up stuff when they didn't have anything. And so I've always been very dependable. From there, the mom introduced me to somebody who worked at Underground. I worked at Underground Station from probably once I turned 14, 15, all the way up through college. I would come home and work there too. They offered me a store before I went to college, and my mom said, absolutely not. You're going to school. And so, yeah, I transferred down to Texas from Detroit and worked at Underground from time to time once I found out where they were located here in Houston. And I did that. And then I went on to corporate. I did internships at Walgreens. And then from there, I worked at Pepsi for like 10 years where I negotiated contracts for some of your favorite places of lodging, like Marriott and the Toyota Center and where else? I'm like, anything that you could think of that was an attraction, yeah, Pepsi had some part of it.
What? I didn't know
Prairie
that.
View. I managed Prairie View's account as well. So like there's a lot of activation because it wasn't managed by a graduate of Prairie View before. And so once I came on the scene, I'm like, y'all missing opportunities. You got campus move in, you had spring break, spring fest, you got homecoming. Like, are you serious? Let's do some activations and really build up our presence on the yard. And yeah, so I've worked a lot. And it
Hey, but
helped me build up into other businesses.
yeah, but this is the thing. So you still came back into management. So you actually wanted to, that's what you wanted to do it in the beginning, but then you actually have that experience and you got that exposure of actually managing and learning how to be a leader of business.
Yep.
Right. So, so going through and walking me through that point when you graduated. So after you graduated, when did you open your first business? What was the first venture for you? Walk me through that journey.
Well, I will actually say before I even graduated, I had Complex Blends Cosmetics. So that was birthed. It was kind of birthed when I was in high school, but I spelled the name differently. And then I rebranded, spelled it with a K. I was able to work with a couple of production companies to figure out what type of makeup that I wanted to have, what colors, what shades, what scents, the packaging. And from there, Complex Blends a full line of products from foundation, lipstick, eyeshadow palettes, facial primers, lashes, mascara was born. And I started participating in homecoming prior to me graduating. And I didn't even know that you could actually sell and be a vendor at Prairie View. One of my friends told me, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, I don't remember ever going inside the MSC while I was at school during homecoming. Like I didn't even know it was open. And next thing you knew, I set up shop. They were only charging like $100 at the time. I cleaned up at homecoming. I said, "Oh, I've been doing it ever since." So that was like my first true test of having like a physical product. From there, I started what was it? My esthetician business. I went to school after I graduated from college and I was working full time and I went to school at night to get my esthetician's license. Once I did that, I found my own space and I started doing facials and waxing and stuff that my mom did have to bully me because I was doing it at home. And she was like, "No, you should have your own space." So she said, "Oh, I'll pay for the first couple months." And I don't know what happened to that. I wish that would have continued. But I ended up growing that business, growing my following, especially during COVID. And that really kind of helped with me having a physical location.
Okay.
Hmm.
Huh. Huh. Interesting. So I mean, going through that process, what did you learn going through that process? But most importantly, like what obstacles did you face along the way? Because I'm sure you had to pivot somewhere because you just mentioned COVID. So walk me through that.
So some of the obstacles that I learned when you are dealing with a product and branding, you want to make sure that your brand looks unique. And although you may have distributors that may sell something similar, what makes your brand stand out? And that's truly when you start doing your research. Like there's a lot of people that sell lipstick, but why does my lipstick look different than theirs? Or, things like that. And if you happen to ever come to my house, you will see that in my garage, I have a whole warehouse. And this was me just being very eager. And I wanted my packaging to look a certain way. I wish I would have thought about the minimum order quantity because now I have 15,000, not 1,500, 15,000 lipstick tubes, tops and bottoms, and liquid lipstick, like lip gloss, tubes, tops and bottom. They're all in my garage. So it's like, okay, now that's motivation to constantly push. And every time I make it through a whole entire box of both, I'm just ecstatic because I'm like, okay, I can see it. It might not look like much, but it's moving. So doing your research when it comes to your packaging and branding, knowing your minimum order quantities and what is realistic for your budget. I will also say that having another source of income, so like I was working full time and then COVID happened. Um, I still had my esthetician business, but I was also affected from a corporate standpoint where they were doing layoffs and I was laid off. So then I really had to pivot again back to esthetician business. And I think during COVID, a lot of people started realizing that self-care is truly important, that these businesses don't necessarily care about you. And what are you going to do because you're trapped in a house to keep yourself sane? And they started really pampering themselves and paying attention to skincare and, waxing and things like that. So my business took off because self-care turned into something that was really more important. And because people were working remotely and they had the time to actually pour back into themselves. So I would say, if anything, yes, being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. If you can have a corporate job and somehow manage your entrepreneur life even better, because when it's slow, you have your corporate check. When it's busy, hey baby, it's only up. So just
Yes.
being able, but also having something to fall back on because now we're in a season that is more African American women that are being laid off. And do they have something to fall back on? So having a trade or having a skill or having something that you can monetize is gold
Yeah.
because you don't know if you're gonna have a job tomorrow. And I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, so you said something that I don't, for some strange reason, I just wanted to ask you this question because even going back to the esthetician, did you ever think to actually turn that into a coaching business or actually start teaching other women how to, open businesses the same?
So there were some things that I turned into coaching, like certain aspects, like learning how to wax, but you need to have your license already. You can't just be waxing just because you want to play in wax. And you have to know the sanitation processes and things like that. So I did have some classes that I would teach, like speed waxing, different manipulations for facials, and then also how to do your content. So those things kind of help piggyback off of, hey, you can make money this way if this happens to shut down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
I interviewed someone that actually same thing. She started her business, but she's giving, I guess she's teaching it, giving them certifications, and she's making anywhere between 10 grand to $20,000 a day. Like, that's crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. So when you said it, I was like, maybe let me see. Maybe this is another seed for you. I don't know.
Give me more businesses. Come on.
Just saying. I'm just saying, sis. You gotta. Sometimes God will bring it in certain ways. So I know we had a conversation before the podcast, and I know you had an opportunity. So I don't know if it's okay for me to ask you this question, but did you have an opportunity with your brand, your cosmetic line, with a basketball or cheerleading team on a particular team? Can you tell me more? Tell us
Yes.
more. Yeah.
Um, so I would say before I dive into that, always keep something of your brand on you. So if it's a lipstick, if it's a business card, if it's something tangible, have it on you so you can speak to it. So in that particular instance, I was at the Pistons basketball game and I happened to go to the bathroom and the dancers were in the back. And sometimes you just got to put your big girl pants on. And I said, hey, who is the coach or the makeup artist, over the dancers? And they were like, oh, that's me. Perfect. Hey, I'm Karian. I have a cosmetic company. It's Complex Blends Cosmetics, and I would love to be able to work with you and your dancers, give you some red that is going to be long lasting that they can wear throughout, their performances. Would that be something that you're interested in? Absolutely. Here's our makeup artist, by the way. Her name is this, and get her contact information and let's set it up. And oh, by the way, I want to invite you back for Women's History Month. So it's you have to have the audacity. I think one of the things that I know a lot of people are saying that, but you really do have to have the audacity to put your big girl pants on and show up because nobody's going to show up for your brand but you. And from that point on, the Pistons dancers, they used to be called the Automotion, I think was their name before, but now they're the Pistons dancers. So now they are wearing my lipstick at their games, and I'm so excited about that opportunity to just have my brand on their faces. And then when I went back for Women's History Month, I grew up dancing. So I went to performing arts high school. I grew up dancing my whole entire life, started dancing at 3. And two of my teachers, one was the first Black dancer for the Pistons dancers. She was there. And then my dance company that I grew up in, she was also there too because she was on the dance team. And so when Women's History Month came around, the day that I was invited, it was for the alumni to come and dance. And so I got an opportunity to see my teachers perform and they were wearing my lipstick. So that was like a full circle moment for me.
Yes, you talking about a blessing. That is good. You use the word. I'm going to use a different word because again, you use the word resilient, and you have to be able to get out of your own way because that's something that for me, even as an entrepreneur, as someone that has been in business and even taught it, and we know business because we are business majors, and we're also taught, closed mouths don't get fed. And
Yeah.
you have to basically seize the opportunity, seize the moment because you may not get that again. And for you to actually see that and be like, I'm just going to go for it. Many people freeze up and they won't do it. They be like, okay, maybe I can just get a card or ask, do you have a card? No, you like, hey, who is this person? Right there. And the door was just open for you. So,
Yep.
when did you know God was actually elevating you? How did you know that He was taking you to another level in business?
I think once I started getting overwhelmed and started leaving stuff at the altar, that was it. Because once I put my issues, I laid them down. I said, I'm not touching it no more. And things just started to change because I had to relinquish having my hold on it because it wasn't for me to hold on to. It was for him to have his way with it, remove it or redirect it. So that way I've learned my lesson from it and now I can pivot and do what I was called to do. So many times we get in our own way because we want stuff to be a certain way and maybe it's not working out because it wasn't meant for it to happen that way. And you have to just set aside your pride and accept it for what it is, but also know that God has instilled something in you because your dream is your dream. He put it on your heart for a reason, but maybe that way of getting to that dream isn't the way that it's supposed to happen. And so sometimes you got to step back and say, okay, now what you want me to do again? Because I can tell you, if for me personally, every time I look in my garage, I'm like, upset. But at the same time, I look at it from another perspective like, Well, now I can see how much lipstick I'm moving. So what am I gonna do to move it? How
Mm.
how how bad do you want it? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
right.
it's just like little things that you have to change your perspective on and just either let God have his way and
Mhm.
figure it out. Change your perspective. Like stop thinking, dwelling on the negative. Oh, this didn't work for me. This didn't. No, it probably wasn't supposed to work that way. Now, what else can you do in order to get to your goal?
Right. And two, it's always, it can go back to what did God tell you to do in the beginning, because sometimes he spoke, but we didn't listen. He gave you direction, but you decided to go left versus the right. So you have to, like what you did, you said, hey, I'm gonna take my hands off of this and let him direct my path, because sometimes he will allow you to go on down, go ahead and go down that path if you want to, but he wants us to come back to him. And when you actually surrender, then that's what happens. We have to
Mhm.
yield to the thing that God wants, and the Holy Spirit then says, okay, I'm gonna place her where she needs to be and with the people that she needs to be, so that the doors can open. I love it. I love it. I love it. So,
Also, the power of the tongue is real.
oh
So
yes.
I learned that when I started again changing my mindset on things, things just started happening. Like I stopped thinking about all the negative stuff. I stopped vocalizing all the negative things or if I woulda, coulda, shoulda, and started thinking about like, no, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm gonna have my lipstick on this brand. I'm going to have my lipstick in this person's hand. So like the things that I was aligning myself with, like I went in there with a positive mindset and knowing what my goal was when I got there.
Yeah. Um, I know that you, okay, I'm gonna get into that in a minute. When did you, so when did you actually get into rental properties? Because I do know that you actually you have your own event space and you also do rental. So when did you find time to do that?
So I always wanted to be a landlord, which is crazy. And my mom thinks I'm nuts. And I'm like, no, I always just wanted property. And again, some things that I wish I would have known then that I know now. Even my grandfather, when he passed away, he left me his house. And I wish I would have kept it and just rented it out, but I didn't do that. And so I kind of lived with the regret of why didn't I do that? So when we found an opportunity to look at different duplexes and say, hey, how about we do an Airbnb, like an investment property? Let's see where it goes. I looked at it with somebody that I was dating with a while back. It didn't pan out. Things just weren't aligning, and that's fine. I'm like, "Good. It wasn't meant to be." But then fast forward, I find the perfect location. I found a price that I wanted, and it was a duplex, which originally I was kind of looking at a single family home, but I was happy that it was a duplex. And then I was able to negotiate the appliances in there too. So I was like, again, things just work out. If you just leave it in God's hands, it's gonna work out. It might not be what you want it to be. And sometimes your we might be a me, which is what I learned.
Mhm.
And things will align. So I think I'll be coming up on a year of having my rental property July 28th. And it has been a real big girl experience. I got to decorate, which is something that I enjoy. Luckily, it was a new build, so all the appliances and all the fixtures were nice and very new, and nobody had, you know, it wasn't. You didn't have to go back and just update a lot of things, right? Because it was a brand new build. I found some furniture that was reasonably priced, and baby, we put that thing on Airbnb, and it was booked like probably within a week, if not sooner. So
Easy.
yeah, I'm happy I did it. It's one of those things I'm very fortunate to have most of my ideas make me money while I'm not awake. So,
So was that the intent, to turn it into an Airbnb versus actually rent it out for monthly income?
yeah, so we wanted to do the upstairs be a long term and then the downstairs be a Airbnb.
Ah, look at
Yeah.
you. Okay. Hey. So what have you learned through that process? Because I hear this, I hear good stories and I hear bad when it comes down to actually getting a new build or something brand new. Some people say, hey, you want to make sure that you go with single family, like what you stated before, because most people are looking for that type of thing. It's easier to get people in. Like, what was the lesson for you in that? Like, was it just easy for you, or was there a lesson while you were going through that process that made you say, hmm?
So the lesson that I would say is it was originally hard finding a tenant. The tenant that I do have upstairs, it kind of worked out because it's my family members that are renting for me upstairs. And the good thing about it is my family member also has a cleaning business. So when I have a tenant and they leave, they clean it.
Oh,
So I'm keeping it in my family, which is a good thing because I also want to always give back and pour into people that I love and I know. And what better way to do that than have your first tenant? So I'm learning the ins and outs of being a landlord through my family members. And I'm like, at least they have a little bit more patience. Like, oh, hey, when this breaks down, like I'm not going to be like a neglectful landlord, but I'm going to make sure that it gets taken care of. And I'm like, it's better to have it be your family members and tell you like, hey, this isn't working. Can you get this fixed? Than having it be a complete stranger and like you're really like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So it was a learning lesson. And now that I have all my ducks in a row, like who's my contractor? Who do I have for maintenance? Who do I have for X, Y, and Z? When these things go crazy, I got to do that with family. And then the Airbnb, that's been interesting too, just because you never know your tenants and you think that you have the assumption that the people who are staying there would treat it like their space. And
mhm.
maybe some of them is like, this how you treat your space? I never want to stay with you. So you learn a lot. And one of the takeaways that I would say is when it comes to like furniture in your Airbnb, do not do nothing that's overly like nice. Do the bare basic stuff because that way if it gets broken, it's easier to replace and you don't beat yourself up about it because you know that you didn't spend top dollar. Like stuff that you're gonna get from Rooms to Go. No, you can go to Amazon and get you a couch, get you a bed, and it will work out perfectly fine. So just go in with the mindset of this is not your house, this is not where you lay your head. This is a convenience property, and everything in there needs to be purchased under convenience and not to break the bank.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, the people, you guys that are listening to this podcast, she has one other business, and I'm gonna ask her about.
I have two.
Actually,
Wait.
okay. So we're gonna talk about the event space, and so I do know that you also do event. You have an event space, and you throw events. You're a planner and all those things too. So, how did you get into that?
Because I like throwing parties. I love throwing parties. I love curating experiences. I love that table that I was talking about. I love creating tables for people to come and fellowship and just pour into each other and network and just, make their ideas endless. And since I was younger, I've always had really like good parties, I would say. My eighth grade birthday party was something that was really elaborate that people still talk about. We sweated the tiles up off the floor. We broke a snowblower. It was a whole thing. We had pizza, and this was before Little Caesars was doing the $5 pizzas. We had pizza stacked up to the wall. We were giving away pizza boxes by the time it ended. My Sweet 16, it was a jersey party. I was charging people to get in. I raised about $4,000 for Parkinson's disease. So my grandmother passed away from Parkinson's. So that's where my nonprofit comes from. And I've always just liked curating experiences. And the event space kind of gave me that opportunity to do so while also providing a space for others to do the same thing. So hence the Anderson was
Wow.
born. And also, too, it was my mom's dream. And I'm just one of those people that you give me an idea and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna let my Virgo. And I took over and I executed. So she was like, oh, I want an event space. Say less. Me too. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, how did you go and research like okay event spaces? Did you take a class? Because I know like certain people. Because it's funny because you actually have an event space, and I actually took a course from someone that's well known in Atlanta to learn how to open up an event space. So, did you just say, "Hey, I'm just going to do it"? You start looking at spaces, or did you actually learn from somebody? You find a mentor. What did you do to do that?
So there was a podcast that I would occasionally listen to. And when I say occasionally, it was not like on a consistent basis. Like I would hear certain things and I would take snippets from it. And then I was like, hey, mom, I think we should open up an event space. She said, hey, Karian, I think that's a great idea. But who gonna do it? Because I don't live in Texas. So this would really be just your thing. You got to figure it out. So I spent 2 years, went through about 3 or 4 realtors trying to find a space. Um, and I had certain things in mind, which I will say some of the information that I did take as gems away from the podcast is making sure that the location is in a reasonable distance from your house. So if anything happens, you can easily get to it. and then trying to have it in a very convenient location with ample parking. And the ample parking part was something that really stood out to me because I've attended several events and I'm like, this parking is trash. Like
Mhm.
I'm wearing heels and I gotta walk a mile to get to the space, or I gotta pay for parking, and even though I paid, my car might still get towed. So like I was really very like firm on, hey, I want it to be conveniently located. I want it to be a little bit more central to the city, but still relatively close to where I live. And the parking has to be amazing. And then I also was keeping in mind that I have friends that are photographers and they need a space to, potentially do photo shoots. And so I wanted it to have a really clean aesthetic. And so I went through a lot of spaces. I saw a lot of different things. And again, me doing what I wanted to do, not what he told me to do. Just jump at the first thing, like, oh, this is cute. Oh, this is cute. I found something that I loved. It was in a neighborhood, and I would have to do a full build out. But I'm like, but what is the noise ordinance? You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking about that. And thank God it was not in my price range because
Mhm.
I mean, it kind of was in my price range, but the actual space was kind of small. It did have parking, but it wasn't, it was truly, I'm like, it wouldn't have been a good fit for what I actually have now. And then I found some other spaces. They had carpet and it looked horrible. It wasn't like in a central location where traffic could get to it very easily. You had to do a lot of U-turns to get to it. And so I was like, this isn't it. And then finally, I found this space. I was driving by and I just happened to look and I said, that's my space. And then it happened to be my brand colors, even though on the building it looks horrible. But I was like, okay, this is why God told me to just wait. This is
Mhm.
and when I originally looked at the space, I went to go look at it. I FaceTimed my mom, and she was very adamant about having 75. Like, it just only needs to have 75 people. That should be our sweet spot. And I was like, yeah. But once you start putting all the closets and stuff, like the space gets smaller. And she wanted us to only have a portion of my space. And my space right now takes up 2 units. So if you cut that in half, that was a cubicle.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna be able to really just have a good time in his space. So I was able to use my gift of gab and my gift of negotiation with my mother to tell her about the space, and then also the gift of negotiation with the landlord to negotiate like, hey, I know it's just me, but I really think that I can utilize this whole entire space. And he was able to work with me, and it was a blessing. Like I didn't have to show a business plan. I didn't have to. There's a lot of things that most places will ask you that I didn't have to do, and I was like, see. And if I would have just been rushing, this wouldn't have happened this way. But I
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
and I was patient, and I let things happen the way that they were supposed to.
Yes, I love it. Oh my god! So you're my type of sis. I was like, you know what, guys? If you are loving this, I like you. She's gonna be my new best friend. I just want y'all to know that, and she's in Houston. So I think she's amazing. We are, and so by the way, she will be at Elevate to Clarity Live September 12th. So if you want to pick her brain and you want to have more opportunities to learn from her, she will be at the event. But I want to know if there is someone like you're inspiring me. Like I'm just soaking it all in, even as a student right now, which I love it. I love a woman that takes control. I love a woman that has faith and believe. Not only that, but allows God to direct things when necessary, which He directs everything if you'll let Him. And so if someone is actually listening to you right now and she's saying, you know what, oh, I want an event space, I want to have a makeup line, I want to do all of the things that she is hearing today, what advice would you say if she's feeling stuck and she still have that mentality in her head saying, you know what, I can't do that, I don't have enough money. She probably had all of this, all of the things that happen in our head that talk us out of taking the first step. What advice would you give?
I would say if it's something that you truly have in your heart that you really want to do, cut out all the noise. If that's what is in your heart, put that on a piece of paper and look at it every day. And then think of all the things that you need in order to get to that end goal. Because there's always going to be something. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. If it was perfect, everybody would do it. But if that's something that's on your heart and you are truly passionate about it, write it down. It's easier to see it when it's tangibly, like you can hold it, you can see it, you can hold yourself accountable, you can make it measurable. Like, hey, I want to get to this goal with this amount of days. And maybe you get close to it. Okay, well, add a couple more days, you know? Don't give up on it. I would say that. I would say start saving. Having an emergency fund does help in anything you do, including just buying a house just because you have a house, even renting. Um, and just work towards it. Find people that are interested in things that you want to do so you can kind of just listen to them. Hopefully they pour into you and you can pour back into them so it's equal. And just stick to it. Don't let anything deter you from your goal. You gotta stay focused. You gotta go in there with blinders on. If that's something that you really want, blinders. Nothing else can get in the way of that.
Yeah. I love it. Transformation happens when you take action. If you want to actually do something, you can't just wait at the line and expect that you're going to finish the race. If you never take the first step, if you never actually build the muscle to get in the game, nothing happens. Nothing happens. You can't transform the body, you can't transform the mind, but you have to get started. And that's what I love about you and everything that you've done. So, what's next for KD?
Whew, we got a lot of things down the pipeline. We just ran a promotion at the venue, which actually did really well. I'm very proud of that. We're probably gonna curate an event called, what is it, Mindful Movements and Matcha. So we're gonna do some stretching to R&B and have a matcha lady there. My nonprofit is doing an event on July 12th. It's the Warriors Cup, so in honor of FIFA, just getting Parkinson's warriors active and pairing them with the youth so they can start doing some like soccer exercises so they can really just, get up and going. So, I mean, it's a lot of things down the pipeline. And I'm so blessed to be able to continue to put on just different random events because most of the time they are truly random, but they always work out. They always work out. So,
Always work out. Good. So where can the listeners find you? And if you are listening and you're in Houston, they want an event space, something's coming up, you have a birthday, graduation is coming up again, you may have a senior coming that's graduating, where can they find you and get tapped in? And you have a garage full of lipstick. So if you have somebody that needs some lipstick, or you have
in a pop-up shop, and the pop-up shop went really well. I didn't sell my lipstick, but I might do it at the next one. You can check me out. Most of my information is on the Anderson, so it's at the Anderson HTX on Instagram and on Facebook, and that's our website too. So theandersonhtx.com. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I know I love it. And again, I know I said it in the earlier in the pod. She will be at Elevate to Clarity Live, the event that you do not want to miss. Regarding if we're talking about business, faith, and leadership, building a business. How do you secure your business? But not only that, ensuring that you're moving in the right direction in your faith. Just because you want to be an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you have to know how to lead yourself before you lead others. She said it earlier. Yes, she wanted to be a manager, but someone spoke seed, a life into her idea, and she took off. So we want you in the room. So she will be there. So, hey, if you want more information, that information will also be in the show notes, along with all of her details on how to find her on her social media. But any last words before we go?
I thank you for having me on this podcast. It was a breath of fresh air, and I'm so happy to be a part of everything that you're doing. And I can't wait to sit on that panel and just be able to pour more gems out into the universe. And hopefully, somebody gets to see and plants it and takes off with it as well.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. This has been another great episode of Elevate to Clarity. Remember, all things are possible, but clarity makes them elevate. And I will see you at the top. Take care.